Let's understand the Clan VIP Lounge invitation and rate it for different styles of play. Unlike any other Mr. Store item, the features you experience depend on your clan's VIP furniture and feature unlocks. This review assumes a fully stocked VIP lounge, so please confirm your clan's amenities and factor that into your buying decision. The only features available under standard restrictions are the latest addition, the Clan Photo Booth, the relaxing hot tub, and the Deluxe Mr. Klaw Skill Crane game. You cannot access the lounge at all in the Bad Moon Special Challenge Path. This review assumes gameplay is unrestricted, so you get the full VIP experience. You gain access to the VIP Lounge in your clan by purchasing and using the Clan VIP Lounge invitation. There are 2 floors, each with their own features depending on the items installed for your clan. The ground floor has 6 items to explore, while the top floor has 8. Starting on the ground floor, the Underground Fireworks Shop offers combat items and equipment for sale. All of the items are priced to be accessible during the early stages of an ascension. Our matey at 100 meat can be used in combat for between 10 and 80 hot damage, as well as 1 pirate item after winning combat. Potential pirate items include all elements of the outfit swashbuckling getup, letting you get a head start on the obligatory Pirate's Cove on the Mysterious Island, as well as the flare gun necessary to receive the Order of the Silver Wasp name during the Mysterious Island quest. Firecrackers at 100 meat can be used during combat for between 40 and 60 hot damage, or eaten as a size 1 good quality food for 20 adventures of the effect Firecracked, which gives 20 stats per combat. The blue rocket at 250 meat can be used during combat to give 10 adventures of the effect Glowing Blue, to regenerate 1,000 mana points per adventure, and 101 adventures of the effect Everything Looks Blue, to prevent using another until the effect is worn off. Regenerating 1,000 mana points per adventure can be valuable whenever you need to cast a lot of expensive spells. Note that the mana points are regenerated during each adventure. This means no mana points will regenerate during free fights. The red rocket at 250 meat can be used during combat to give 99 adventures of the effect Ready to Eat, which multiplies the substats granted by your next food by 5, and 100 adventures of the effect Everything Looks Red, to prevent using another until the effect is worn off. You can eat a food anytime during the 99 adventure Ready to Eat window to get the benefit, although the effect disappears once you eat a food. Note that the food must be eaten in the usual way. Foods such as sushi that use a separate menu won't trigger the substat bonus. The yellow rocket at 250 meat can be used during combat to instantly kill your opponent, forcing all their normal items to drop. This doesn't include pickpocket-only items or conditional rare items. It gives 75 adventures of the effect Everything Looks Yellow to prevent using another until the effect is worn off. 75 adventures is a relatively short cooldown for Yellow Ray. The shortest are 30 or 50 adventures, but have additional restrictions, so the yellow rocket is a good choice whenever you need to guarantee a specific item drop. Next, you may choose to purchase 1 hat per day from the 3 potential choices for 500 meat. The hat you choose would disappear at rollover. Wearing any of the hats will cause you a small amount of hot damage during each round of combat, so don't wear the hat if your hit points are already perilously low. The fedora-mounted fountain adds 20 to monster level, 20 to hot damage, and 10 damage to hot spells. 20 additional monster level may be useful during council quests such as the Typical Tavern or Undefile the Crypt. The pork pie mounted popper reduces combat frequency by 5% and adds 20 hot damage each to weapon attacks and hot spells. While a small reduction in combat frequency, it may help with council quests such as the Spooky Forest or Deep Fat Friars' Gate. The sombrero-mounted sparkler increases combat frequency by 5%, adds 10 hot damage, and 20 damage to hot spells. Increasing combat frequency can be more difficult, so this could be a good choice for finding the Ninja Snowman Assassin or the special opponents at the laugh floor. You may also choose to purchase 1 equipment item per day from the 3 potential choices for 1,000 meat, each of which increases your stats by 20% when worn. The item you choose will disappear at rollover. The back item Catherine Wheel can be worn to gain 3 stats per combat, the one-handed club Oversized Sparkler to add between 15 and 30 to damage and 20% to item drops, or the accessory Rocket Boots to increase combat initiative by 100%. Depending on your other equipment and bottlenecks during quest progress, any of these may be a good choice to help you complete an ascension more quickly. That's all for the Underground Fireworks Shop, but there's so much more to the VIP Lounge. Next, we have the newest addition, the Clan Photo Booth. 3 times per day, you can get your photo taken to choose between 3 different buffs. Take a Wild West photo, gives 50 adventures of the effect Wild and Westy for an additional 10 Moxie, 50% combat initiative, 3 Moxie stats per fight, and reduces combat frequency. Take a photo holding up Fernsworthy's tower gives 50 adventures of the effect Towering Muscles for an additional 10 muscle, 50 hit points, 3 muscle stats per fight, and increases combat frequency. Take a space photo gives 50 adventures of the effect Spaced Out for an additional 10 mysticality, 50 mana points, 3 mysticality stats per fight, and regenerate between 10 and 30 mana points per adventure. The main stat buff may be a good choice when you begin an ascension to gain levels quickly, while the off-stat buff may help you use equipment with certain stat requirements. Try to time the moxie and muscle buffs so that you can also benefit from the combat frequency modification. Also 3 times per day you can borrow a prop, which are all equipment items that disappear at rollover. While you can borrow multiples of a single prop, you'll have trouble wearing 2 hats, for example. You can double up on the accessories Fake Beard or Giant Bow Tie if you wish. Every clan will have the Photo Boost supply list, Fake Arrow Through the Head, Fake Huge Beard, and Astronaut Helmet available as options, but clans must unlock the Cheap Plastic Pipe, Oversized Monocle on a Stick, Giant Bow Tie, Feather Boa, Sheriff Badge, Sheriff Pistol, and Sheriff Mustache by equipping the Photo Boost supply list and using the combat skill Check for Photo Boost supplies against the appropriate monster 50 times. Progress is shown where items have not yet been unlocked by the clan. The Photo Boost supply list is an offhand that adds 10% to all attributes, reduces damage by 20, and gives the combat skill Check for Photo Boost supplies. The Photo Boost supply list may be a good pick early in an ascension to survive tough fights or high monster level. The Fake Arrow Through the Head is a power 30 hat that adds 25% to moxie and makes monsters less attracted to you. The Fake Huge Beard is an accessory that adds 25% to muscle and 40% to food drops. The Fake Huge Beard will be an asset in any PvP season that includes the food drop minigame. The Astronaut Helmet is a power 30 hat that adds serious cold and stench resistance. The Cheap Plastic Pipe is an accessory that adds 40 to mana points and regenerates between 8 and 12 mana points per adventure. It is unlocked by gathering supplies from Baron von Ratsworth in the Tavern Cellar. The Baron can only be fought once per ascension. The Oversized Monocle on a Stick is an offhand that adds 25% to mysticality and item drops. The monocle is unlocked by gathering supplies from Peanut in the Caligonous Abyss in the sea. The Giant Bow Tie is an accessory that adds 5 to all attributes, 5 prismatic damage, and makes you look 25% clowny to help find Clown Lord Beelzebozo during the Nemesis quest. Reasonably enough, the Giant Bow Tie is unlocked by gathering supplies from Beelzebozo in the Funhouse. The Feather Boa is an accessory that adds 15 sleaze damage and 50% meat from monsters. 50% meat from monsters is on par with much harder to obtain accessories, such as the Ring of the Skeleton Lord from Fantasy Realm, and only a little less than the ultra-rare Incredibly Dense Meat Gem at 60%. Gather supplies from the Drippy Reveler in the Drippy Hall to unlock the Feather Boa. The final 3 items are the hardest to unlock. Wear all 3 items to obtain the skill Assert Your Authority, usable 3 times per day to receive meat from a monster, but no items, at no adventure cost. The Sheriff Badge is an accessory that adds 50% to mysticality and serious spooky resistance. Gather supplies from Mare Ghost in either normal or hard mode in the Dreadsylvanian village to unlock the Sheriff Badge. The Sheriff Pistol is a one-handed pistol with between 5 and 10 damage that adds 50% to muscle and 15 hot damage. Gather supplies from Deputy Nick Soames and Earl, a boss encountered at level 8 in the Zombie Slayer Special Challenge path, to unlock the Sheriff Pistol. The Sheriff Mustache is an accessory that adds 50% to Moxie and 25% to Combat Initiative. Gather supplies from Chester in the Purple Light District of Hobopolis to unlock the Sheriff Mustache. The large stat boosts and special skill from wearing all 3 Sheriff items make these a good pick both during an ascension and after defeating the Naughty Sorceress. The final option at the photo booth is to take a group photo once per day. It's fun to play with the options and compose your perfect shot, but there is no gameplay benefit from the group photo. Next we have the Clan Floundry. Once per day you can choose a fish-themed equipment item that disappears at rollover. Purchases are made possible through adventuring in the daily fishing zones to gain the different kinds of fish. The fish can be accumulated until they're spent. They don't go bad, weirdly. Anyone with access to the VIP lounge can go fishing, though you can improve your fishing skill with equipment, effects, food, booze, or the skill Astute Angler. A common problem with the Floundry is spending more fish than are gathered each day, solved by joining the Floundry Clan. The Floundry Clan is kept topped up in fish as a community service, allowing players to choose equipment from the Floundry without needing to fish up supplies themselves. You can get a whitelist to the Floundry Clan by buying an item from the player Floundry's mall shop, then easily switch to the Floundry Clan to pick up your VIP Lounge Floundry equipment each day. Floundry. So what exactly is this fish-themed equipment? The carp is a back item that adds 50% mysticality, 50% meat from monsters. Monsters will be much more attracted to you, 10% more combat frequency, and regenerates between 5 and 10 mana points per adventure. 50% additional meat is the best in slot by a wide margin, with the Mr. Store buddy Bjorn next best at 25% meat. The cod piece is an accessory that adds 100% to mysticality, 100 to maximum mana points, 50 to spell damage, and makes monsters much less attracted to you, 10% less combat frequency. Mysticality, mana points, and spell damage are an excellent combination for hard-hitting spells. The cod piece can also be wrung out once per day to get 8 bubbling crudes for the Orcchasm quest. Trouncers are pants that add 50% to Moxie, 50% to Pickpocket Chance, 11 prismatic damage, and superhuman resistance to all elements, +5. The Trouncers are best in slot for both prismatic damage and resistance to all elements. The next best pants for resistance are hardened slime pants with serious resistance, +3. The Bass Clarinet is a one-handed ranged weapon that adds 100% to Moxie, 50 to range damage. Monsters will be much less attracted to you, 10% less combat frequency, and reduces the mana point cost of casting skills by 3 mana points. The Bass Clarinet is best in slot for reducing the cost of skills, and you can drain spit once per day to get 10 white pixels. Admittedly, much less useful since the 8-bit zone no longer requires pixels to get the digital key. The Fish Hatchet is a one-handed axe that adds 100% to muscle, 50 to weapon damage, 5 to familiar weight, and monsters will be much less attracted to you, 10% less combat frequency. The Fish Hatchet can be used once per day to get 5 each of fasteners and lumber for the Orcchasm Bridge, giving 1/6 of the needed materials. Finally, the Tunic is a shirt that adds 50% to muscle, 25 to monster level, 25% to item drops for monsters, and makes monsters much more attracted to you, 10% increase to combat frequency. An additional 25 monster level is second best in slot to the Mr. Store Sneaky Pete's leather jacket at an additional 30 monster level. The strong enchantments on Floundry equipment make any of them an excellent choice to help you through both council quests and exploration after beating the naughty sorceress. Are you impressed by the VIP lounge yet? Those are just the first 3 lounge furniture items, though many of those that remain are simple and straightforward by comparison. Take the relaxing hot tub. You can rest in a hot tub up to 5 times per day to restore all hit points and remove any negative effects that can be removed, including coated in slime. Examples of negative effects that cannot be removed are the Everything Looks color cooldown effects and goofball withdrawal. The fortune teller can be a fun way to interact with other people in your clan, as well as providing a nice buff once per day. Consult with a non-player character, or NPC for short, once per day to receive a buff for 100 adventures. None of these effects can be obtained through pocket wishes. Susie gives the effect A Girl Named Sue for an additional 5 familiar weight, 5 familiar experience per combat, and 10 familiar damage. Hank gives the effect There's No N in Love for an additional 50% each to booze, food, and item drops. The Meatsmith gives the effect Meet the Meat for an additional 50% to gear drops and 100% to meat drops. Any of these effects can be helpful both during an ascension and while exploring after beating the naughty sorceress. The final 3 NPCs help with each main stat, making them good choices to gain levels during an ascension. Gunther, Lord of the Smackdown, gives the effect Gunther Than Thou for an additional 5 muscle stats per combat, 100% muscle, and 50% maximum hit points. Gorgonzola gives the effect Everybody Calls Him Gorgon for an additional 5 mysticality stats per combat, 100% mysticality, and 50% maximum mana points. Shifty gives the effect They Call Him Shifty Because for an additional 5 Moxie stats per combat, 100% Moxie, and 100% combat initiative. Each time you consult with a clan member, you receive a different item depending on whether you are compatible. Each of you provides matching answers, or incompatible. Compatible answers also have a small chance of giving a skill book. Each item you receive can be zapped into the others within the same set. There are 2 word pairs that the fortune teller recognizes are compatible, such as pizza and beer for favorite food, or Romeo and Juliet for favorite character. If one person chooses pizza and the other chooses beer, you are considered compatible, but both people choosing beer would be considered incompatible. Check the wiki for potential compatible word pairs. Receiving the items from compatible answers requires planning ahead with your partner, or in certain clans, consulting with a clan bot. You can consult a clan member up to 3 times per day, but you must receive a response before you can send a new request. All 3 requests can be sent to the same clan member if you wish. There are 6 possible tradable skill books you might receive with compatible answers, each of which can be zapped into the others. How to Get Bigger Without Really Trying teaches the non-combat skill Get Big, which costs 15 mana points for 10 adventures of the effect Big, for an additional 20% each to Muscle, Moxie, and Mysticality. Illustrated Mating Rituals of the Galapagos teaches the combat skill Galapagosian Mating Call, which costs 30 mana points to add one copy of the monster to the current zone where possible. The effect lasts either until rollover or you cast the skill again. Adding a copy to the zone means that in a zone with 3 monsters, for example, your chance of encountering the Mating Call monster would behave as though it were 2 of the possible 4 monsters, instead of 1 out of 3. 50% encounter chance instead of 33%. You can combine Galapagosian Mating Call and Transcendent Olfaction on the same monster to increase your encounter chance even more. Convincing people you can see the future teaches the non-combat skill Inscrutable Gaze, which costs 10 mana points for 10 adventures of the effect Inscrutable Gaze for an additional 10% to all Mysticality gains. Note that Inscrutable Gaze counts as a facial expression, which means that casting it will remove any other facial expression effects and vice versa. Your face can only hold one expression at a time. Love Potions and the Wizards Who Mix Them teaches the non-combat skill Love Mixology, which costs 50 mana points to summon a random quest item Love Potion, so long as you don't already have a Love Potion in your inventory or an active Tainted Love Potion effect from using it. Using Love Potion gives 20 adventures of the effect Tainted Love Potion for anywhere from -98 to 105 Muscle, -102 to 102 Mysticality, -100 to 105 Moxie, -30% to 40% added or subtracted from your maximum hit points, and -10% to 30% added or subtracted from your maximum mana points. So long as you have mana points and soft green echo eye drops to remove the effect, you can keep rolling the dice until you find a love potion with positive effects that fit your needs. The Love You and Rhinestones teaches the non-combat skill Acquire Rhinestones, which costs 10 mana points and can be cast once per day to generate between 23 and 37 Rhinestones. Using 1 Rhinestone gives 1 adventure of the effect Rhinestone for an additional 1 Moxie, 2 Rhinestones give 2 adventures for an additional 2 Moxie, and so on without a cap. This can make Rhinestones useful if you need a large, short-term buff to Moxie. Finally, Silly Little Love Song teaches the non-combat accordion skill Paul's Passionate Pop Song, which costs 20 mana points to give the effect Paul's Passionate Pop Song to regenerate either 4 or 5 mana points per adventure. The duration of the effect matches the best accordion you're able to play, 5 or 10 adventures as most classes, or up to 20 adventures as an accordion thief, and competes with other accordion skills for the number of songs you can hold in your head, between 3 and 7 depending on skills and equipment. The first clan member consultation of the day gives 1 item from a set of food or booze for incompatible answers or 1 cosmetic item for compatible answers. The possible incompatible items are the Swedish massage fish, a size 1 good quality food that gives 40 adventures of the effect Like a Fish to Walter for an additional 5 fishing skill. The heart-shaped candy whetstone, a size 1 good quality food that gives 40 adventures of the effect Sharpened Sweet Tooth for an additional 25% candy drops from monsters. The Bustle Hustler, a size 1 good quality booze that gives 40 adventures of the effect Bustle Hustlin' for an additional 5 pool skill, and Third Base, a size 1 good quality booze that gives 40 adventures of the effect Third Based for an additional 25% pickpocket chance. The Bustle Hustler is the most useful of the bunch for defeating this pool ghost in Spooky Raven Manor, though the small size and only good quality means you likely have better booze options. The possible compatible items are Eavesdroppers, which add ear temperature to a player's private profile, the Heart Cozy to add heart temperature to a player's private profile, the Lollipop to turn a player's next 10 chat messages different colors for each person viewing chat. One viewer may see red for the same message another sees as orange, and the Personal Graffiti Kit to add your player name to another player's public profile. The second clan member consultation of the day gives a potion for incompatible answers or a mysterious box for compatible answers. The possible incompatible items are the Tonica Banderas, which can be used for 20 adventures of the effect Bandersnatched, which adds 5 to Moxie and 10 to range damage. Betty Page, which can be used for 20 adventures of the effect Paging Betty, which adds 5 to Mysticality and 10 to spell damage. Ocean, which can be used for 20 adventures of the effect Fabu, which adds 5 to muscle and 10 to weapon damage, or the Heather Graham Cracker, which can be used for 20 adventures of the effect Graham Cracklin, which adds 10 to hit points and 5 to mana points. These potions may be useful early in an ascension when a small boost matters most. The possible compatible items are the Mysterious Black Box, Mysterious Blue Box, Mysterious Green Box, and Mysterious Red Box. They can only be opened on Leap Day, February 29th, which happens once every 4 years. Each box gives a doll part, the head, body, arms, and legs respectively. Once per account, if you have all the parts, you can use the head to assemble the untradeable offhand item Rubber Baby Doll, which deals 13 spooky damage on every round of combat. While the assembled doll is untradeable, all of the parts are tradable and sold in the mall. The relatively small amount of spooky damage makes the spooky doll a collector's item rather than a useful piece of equipment. The third and final clan member consultation of the day gives an untradeable Genie's equipment item for incompatible answers or an untradeable Psychic's equipment item for compatible answers. The possible incompatible equipment items are the Genie's Turban, a power 50 hat that gives 2 adventures if worn during rollover and adds 10 to maximum hit points, the Genie's Scimitar, a one-handed sword with between 10 and 20 damage and adds 5 each to muscle and weapon damage, the Genie's Pants, power 50 pants that give 2 PvP fights if worn during rollover and adds 10 to maximum mana points, and the Genie's Bracers, an accessory that adds 5 each to Mysticality and Moxie. Worn together, all 4 equipment items are the outfit Genie Garments for a tattoo, 5% extra chance of a critical hit, and give a Rainbow Jellybean during trick-or-treating. The Rainbow Jellybean is a potion that gives 5 adventures of the effect Tasting the Rainbow for 2 prismatic damage. Extra adventures or PvP fights make the Turban and Pants good choices in a hardcore ascension, though outclassed by the equivalent Psychic's equipment. The possible compatible equipment items are the Psychic's Circlet, a power 100 hat that gives 3 adventures if worn during rollover and regenerates between 3 and 6 mana points per adventure, the Psychic's Crystal Ball, an offhand that adds 5 to all attributes and 20% to combat initiative, the Psychic's Slacks, power 100 pants that gives 3 PvP fights if worn during rollover and regenerates between 5 and 10 hit points per adventure, and the accessory Psychic's Amulet that adds 10 to spell damage and slight resistance to all elements, +1. Worn together, all 4 equipment items are the outfit Psychic Ensemble for a tattoo, 10% extra chance of a critical hit, and give a Mystery Lollipop during trick-or-treating. The Mystery Lollipop is a potion that gives 5 adventures of the effect Your Favorite Flavor for 3 prismatic damage. The Psychic Circlet and Psychic Slacks are excellent choices during hardcore ascensions for additional rollover adventures and PvP fights, respectively. The Deluxe Mr. Klaw Skill Crane game is the last furniture item on the ground floor. You can use it up to 3 times per day for a chance to receive a gift item. Odds are that you will get 1 gift item per day. The most common gift items are offhand items Stuffed Key and offhand items Stuffed Treasure Chest at a 5 to 6% chance. Use the Stuffed Treasure Chest with a Stuffed Key in inventory to get between 3 and 5 stuffies. The offhand Stuffed Martini and one-handed sword Stuffed Crazy Bastard Sword are unique to the Stuffed Treasure Chest. Wear the Stuffed Martini and Stuffed Crazy Bastard Sword together to change your avatar into the Sword and Martini mascot of Cole. The next most common gift items are the offhand Stuffed Baron von Ratsworth, offhand Stuffed Meat, accessory Stuffed Mink, offhand Stuffed Teddy Butler, offhand Stuffed Monocle, and offhand Stuffed Tin of Caviar at a 2 to 3% chance. All of the stuffies can be auto-sold for 20 meat, except for the Stuffed Meat, which auto-sells for 60 meat. More rarely, you may receive equipment, a 1% chance. The Garish Pinky Ring is an accessory that adds 10 each to maximum hit and mana points. Giant Designer Sunglasses are an accessory that reduces Moxie by 10%. Bejeweled Cufflinks are an accessory that adds 3 prismatic damage. And Fancy Opera Glasses are an offhand that adds 5% each to meat drops and item drops from monsters. Most rarely, at less than a 1% chance, you may receive the familiar Hatchling Designer Handbag. Put the Designer Handbag in your terrarium to get the Purse Rat, a familiar that increases monster level by 1 for every 2 pounds of weight. Since the Purse Rat is always available in Standard, it is useful for completing high monster level quests such as clearing Oil Peak or hunting up the unstable Fulminate in Spooky Raven Manor. All of the Crane Game gift items can also be bought and sold through Sellbot using the information in Sellbot's display case. That's it for the ground floor, so let's move on to the top floor. First we have a Looking Glass. Use it once per day to receive a Drink Me potion. Use the Drink Me potion to get 20 adventures of the effect Down the Rabbit Hole, which opens up access to the rabbit hole in the nearby plains. The Mad Tea Party in the Rabbit Hole will give a 30 adventure buff once per day depending on the number of characters in your equipped hat. Notable options include additional 3 familiar experience per combat, 30% spell or weapon damage fudge, 5 familiar weight, or 40% meat from monsters. Check out the wiki for a full list. The Tweedleporium offers items for sale, though never jam. A puff of smoke at 100 meat can be used to send a message to another player. Each day of the week, the Tweedleporium offers a different gift item stuffy at 10,000 meat. If you equip both Tuesday's accessory stuffed walrus and Wednesday's accessory stuffed carpenter together, they will heal 5 each of hit and mana points per combat. You can use Saturday's stuffed pocket watch once per day for an equal chance of gaining or losing between 1 and 10 adventures, similar to the Mime Army Challenge coin from the Crimbo in 2017. The Insane Top Hat at 20,000 meat is a Power 30 hat that can be equipped to change your avatar into the Mad Hatter. The next 3 gift equipment items at 30,000 meat each can be worn together for the outfit Knight's Armor with a tattoo, additional 10% pickpocket chance, and the size 1 crappy quality palm cookie while trick-or-treating, which can be eaten to get 30 adventures of the effect pwned with a variable addition to muscle, mysticality, and moxie. The Helm of the White Knight is a Power 60 hat that regenerates between 2 and 5 hit and mana points per adventure and adds slight resistance to all elements, +1. The Trousers of the White Knight are Power 60 pants that add 3 to all attributes and 15 to maximum hit and mana points. The Wristwatch of the White Knight is an accessory that adds 10% to combat initiative and 3 adventures if worn during rollover. The watch may be a good choice if you have the extra meat during hardcore ascensions. The Red Queen's Garden is an adventure location with 4 possible monsters, each with their own consumable and equipment drops. Each time you use a Drink Me potion, you have a chance to receive a reflection of a map from the monsters in the Red Queen's Garden. You can use the map while the Down the Rabbit Hole effect is still active to obtain a special item for each base character class. Choose the Field of Strawberries as a Seal Clubber or Postamancer, a Caucus Racetrack as a Sorcerer or Accordion Thief, and the Croquet Grounds as a Turtle Tamer or Disco Bandit to receive the items. Once you have all 6, cook the Eggman noodles and vial of jus de larme together to get Humpty Dumplings, then use another map and head to the Duchess's cottage. Feed the Duchess once per player to get the untradeable familiar equipment Ida Bida Hookah. It can be equipped on any familiar for an additional 5 familiar weight, and enables the familiar to grant 6 adventures of a random beneficial effect every 6 combats, with some limitations. The Ida Bida Hookah is a fun way to explore new effects while improving the weight of any familiar. A Crimbo Tree has presents, of course. Starting when you ascend, the Crimbo Tree will give you a gift item present after 7 days, and again every 7 days after you pick up your present. Possible presents include 1 skill book, 1 familiar, and 3 equipment items. The Crimbo Candy Cookbook teaches the non-combat skill Summon Crimbo Candy, which costs 3 mana points once per day to create 3 Crimbo Candy potions. The possible potions are Crimbo Fudge, Crimbo Peppermint Bark, and Crimbo Candied Pecan. Crimbo Fudge gives 5 adventures each of Sugar Rush and Busy Bein' Delicious for an additional 5 Moxie. Crimbo Peppermint Bark gives 5 adventures each of Sugar Rush and Peppermint Bite for an additional 5 Muscle. Crimbo Candied Pecan gives 5 adventures each of Sugar Rush and Sweet Nuts for an additional 5 Mysticality. The familiar hatchling Jack-in-the-Box is a potential present which hatches into the Jack-in-the-Box for increasing stat gain and item drops half of the time. The possible equipment presents are the Peanut Brittle Shield, Red and Green Sweater, and Red Rover BB Gun. The Peanut Brittle Shield is an offhand that increases candy drops from monsters by 100%, which is best in slot for candy drops. Wearing the Power 50 shirt Red and Green Sweater gives the combat skill Static Shock, which can be cast once per fight at no mana cost to restore between 4 and 6 mana points. The Red Rover BB Gun is a 2-handed gun that damages between 5 and 10, adds 15% chance of critical hit, and on critical hit has a 50% chance of giving you 5 adventures of the effect First Eye Blind for a 10% reduction each in Muscle, Mysticality, and Moxie. The next furniture item is a phone booth, also called the Speakeasy. Here you can buy and immediately consume 3 booze items per day from a menu of 11 booze items. You won't be able to purchase a drink if you are overdrunk already. A glass of milk, cup of tea, and thermos of whiskey each cost 250 meat for a size 1 good quality booze. Unless you have very little meat, other Speakeasy drinks will be a better choice. The Lucky Lindy costs 500 meat for a size 6 good quality booze that gives the intrinsic Lucky. The Lucky intrinsic can help with many council quests, such as getting all of the components for the Wand of Nagmar from the Castle in the Sky's basement zone, though there is an opportunity cost in adventures from choosing such a large, good quality booze instead of something higher quality. The next 4 drinks each give beneficial effects that can help both during an ascension and after defeating the naughty sorceress. The Bee's Knees costs 500 meat for a size 2 awesome quality booze that gives 25 adventures of the effect effect on the trolley for an additional 100% each to Muscle, Mysticality, and Moxie. Sockdolager costs 500 meat for a size 2 awesome quality booze that gives 25 adventures of the effect in a lather for 20 prismatic damage, 40 damage to elemental spells, 40 spell damage, 20 ranged and weapon damage, and 50% additional spell and weapon damage. Ishkabibble costs 500 meat for a size 2 awesome quality booze that gives 25 adventures of the effect Feeling No Pain for serious prismatic resistance plus 3, 10 damage reduction, and 100 damage absorption. Hot Socks costs 5,000 meat for a size 3 awesome quality booze that gives 50 adventures of the effect Hip to the Jive for an additional 2 familiar experience per combat, 10 familiar weight, and 20 familiar damage. You can also use Pocket Wishes to get any of the effects from Speakeasy drinks. Bonus Balonus costs 10,000 meat for a size 3 awesome quality booze that gives 5 PvP fights in addition to between 10 and 14 adventures. This makes the Bonus Balonus the third best booze in the game for PvP fights on top of gaining adventures. Flipper costs 20,000 meat for a size 2 epic quality booze that restores between 50 and 90 mana points. Finally, the Sloppy Jalopy costs 100,000 meat for a size 5 awesome quality booze that gives between 18 and 22 adventures and teaches you the non-permeable skill Hollow Leg for a permanent 1 additional liver capacity until you ascend. If you take your time before ascending, it's worthwhile to drink 1 Sloppy Jalopy so that Hollow Leg can add to your capacity for adventures or PvP fights every day thereafter. The April shower lets you shower once per day at your chosen temperature. The first option is hot to restore 1,000 mana points and a 10 to 15% chance to learn one of 11 crafting recipes unique to the April shower. Many of these craftables are gift items. The remaining recipes are the size 1 good quality booze, Russian Ice, which can also act as a combat item to weaken enemies, Salsa de las Epicas, which can be used to make the size 6 awesome quality pasta, Spaghetti con Calaveras, the creepy voodoo doll, which can be used once per day to give someone on your contact list, or someone random if your contact list is empty, 20 adventures of the effect on pins and needles for an additional 23% combat initiative, the s'more gun, which can use a marshmallow to send a s'more to another player, the size 1 decent quality food popcorn, which sends a message to your current chat channel when eaten, and the tiny black hole, an offhand that allows pickpocketing as muscle and mysticality classes, increases pickpocket chance by 25%, and reduces combat initiative by 200%. If you are able to counteract the combat initiative penalty, the tiny black hole is one of the few ways to pickpocket in hardcore when playing non-Moxie classes. Showering on Warm gives 50 adventures of the effect Muscle Unbound for an additional 5% to muscle stat gains. Lukewarm gives 50 adventures of the effect Thermodynamic for an additional 5% to mysticality stat gains. Cool gives 50 adventures of the effect So Fresh and So Clean for an additional 5% to Moxie stat gains. And Cold gives either 3 or 4 shards of double ice, a combat item that staggers the monster, deals cold damage based on your highest stat, and changes the monster's elemental alignment to cold. You can also use shards of double ice to create 3 untradeable equipment items that make up the Cold Comforts outfit for a tattoo, additional 30 cold damage, and 30 damage to cold spells, and trick-or-treating in this outfit with a Russian Ice in inventory gives the potion Double Ice Gum for 10 adventures of the effect Wintry Breath for 10 additional cold damage. Otherwise, trick-or-treating gives 1 drunkenness without the Russian Ice. 5 double ice shards creates a double ice cap, a power 70 hat that stuns opponents who hit you, regenerates between 5 and 9 mana points per adventure, and adds 10 cold damage. 7 double ice shards creates the double ice box, an offhand item that makes all Postomancer spells you cast into elemental cold spells, increases spell damage by 10%, and deals between 10 and 20 cold damage every round of combat. 9 double ice shards creates the double ice breeches, power 70 pants, that gives stupendous hot resistance, plus 4 damage reduction, and increases your maximum hit and mana points by 40 each. Increasing stat gains for your main stat is an excellent choice early in Ascension. Hot showers help you learn the 11 recipes over time, and after you've learned everything you can, shards of double ice are excellent combat items. 3 times per day you can play pool at the pool table against the reigning champ. Improve your pool skill if you wish to beat the champ for bragging rights, but win or lose you still receive the buff for your chosen play style. Play aggressively gives 10 adventures of the effect Billiards Belligerents for 50 50% additional weapon damage and 5 pounds of familiar weight. Play strategically gives 10 adventures of the effect Mental Acuity for 50% additional spell damage and to regenerate 10 mana points per adventure. Play stylishly gives 10 adventures of the effect Hustlin' for an additional 50% combat initiative and 10% item drops from monsters. Billiard's Belligerence's familiar weight boost is the most versatile of the effects since familiars can be swapped around for additional spell damage, the Magic Dragonfish, mana point regeneration, item drops from monsters, and combat initiative, the Oily Worm. The Fax Machine is famous as one of the few ways to fight a copyable monster that you otherwise can't encounter naturally, though the Fax Machine is outclassed by the recent Mr. Store Chest Mimic Familiar. You can only ever have one photocopied monster in your inventory at a time. Trying to receive a second photocopied monster gets a message that the fax won't show up. You can only fight one photocopied monster per day, even if you somehow manage to receive 2 photocopied monsters. When you receive a fax, you will receive a copy of whichever monster was sent most recently to your clan. If instead you would like to choose the monster, send a private chat message to the bot OnlyFax with the name of the monster you would like. The monster will be sent to your clan if it's available. If you end up receiving a fax of a monster you don't want, simply send the fax to remove it from your inventory, which enables you to receive and potentially fight a different photocopied monster. Photocopied monsters can be copied again using items such as the print screen button or skills such as Be Gregarious, so you can use your fax to fight monsters such as Lobster Frogmen or Ninja Snowman Assassins to collect necessary items during an ascension. Photocopied monsters can also be used for item or meat farming like any other copy method, or for collecting factoids from retired content. Enjoy exploring the available monsters. The hot dog stand offers basic hot dogs for free and lets you choose and immediately eat one other type of hot dog per day at the cost of specific items. Like the Floundry's fishing, hot dog items can be contributed and used slowly over time by anyone in the clan. Unless your clan has other rules, it is polite to replace any items that you use up. All effects from the fancy hot dogs can also be received from pocket wishes. Basic hot dogs are a size 1 crappy quality food with the unique quality that you can eat them when your stomach is full to forego adventures and instead lose an exponentially increasing amount of character stats. Basic hot dogs can therefore be used to reduce your character level to 13 or lower to receive instant karma when you defeat the naughty sorceress. Each of the first 3 fancy hot dogs gives an effect to help with a zone in Dreadsylvania. The Savage Macho Dog, costing 10 furry furs, is a size 2 awesome quality food that gives 50 adventures of the effect Macho Macho Dog for an additional 50% damage against bugbears and werewolves, 50% muscle, and 10% chance of a critical hit. Bugbears and werewolves are the 2 monster types in the Dreadsylvanian woods. The one with everything, costing 10 handfuls of cranberries, is a size 2 awesome quality food that gives 50 adventures of the effect Inner Dog for an additional 50% damage against zombies and ghosts, 50% mysticality, and 10% chance of a spell critical hit. Zombies and ghosts are the 2 monster types in the Dreadsylvanian village. The Sly Dog, costing 10 skeleton bones, is a size 2 awesome quality food that gives 50 adventures of the effect Top Dog for an additional 50% moxie, 10% pickpocket chance, and 50% damage against vampires and skeletons. Vampires and skeletons are the 2 monster types in the Dreadsylvanian castle. The next 5 hot dogs all require elemental wads as payment and give elementally aligned effects. The Devil Dog, costing 25 hot wads, is a size 3 awesome quality food that gives between 11 and 13 adventures on top of 5 PvP fights and 30 adventures of the effect Devil Inside for 30 hot damage and serious resistance to both cold and spooky. The Devil Dog is the second best food for PvP fights, which makes the adventures a nice bonus. The Chili Dog, costing 25 cold wads, is a size 3 awesome quality food that gives 30 adventures of the effect Chill Out Dog for an additional 30 cold damage, 10 monster level, and serious stench and sleaze resistance. The Ghost Dog, costing 25 spooky wads, is a size 3 awesome quality food that gives 30 adventures of the effect Scaredy Dog for an additional 30 spooky damage, serious cold and sleaze resistance, and makes monsters less attracted to you, reduces combat frequency by 5%. The Junkyard Dog, costing 25 stench wads, is a size 3 awesome quality food that gives 30 adventures of the effect Dog Breath for an additional 30 stench damage, serious hot and spooky resistance, and makes monsters more attracted to you, increases combat frequency by 5%. The Wet Dog, costing 25 sleaze wads, is a size 3 awesome quality food that gives 30 adventures of the effect Hang Dog for an additional 30 sleaze damage, serious hot and stench resistance, and 20% combat initiative. The optimal dog, costing 25 tattered scraps of paper, is a size 1 awesome quality food that gives the intrinsic Lucky. The Lucky intrinsic can help with many council quests as well as special encounters or items, such as the Knobgoblin Embezzler and Cobb's Knob Treasury. The sleeping dog, costing 10 gauze hammocks, is a size 2 awesome quality food that teaches you the non-permeable skill Dog Tired for a permanent 5 additional free rests until you ascend. If you take your time before ascending and often use up your free rests, such as with the Mr. Store Cinco de Mayo, it's worthwhile to eat one sleeping dog so that Dog Tired can give you more free rests every day thereafter. Finally, the Video Games Hot Dog, costing 3 issues of Game Inform Power Daily Pro magazine, is a size 3 awesome quality food that gives 50 adventures of the effect Video Game Hot Dog for an additional 25% each of meat and item drops from monsters, and 2 or 3 each of red, green, and blue pixels, which are much less useful since the digital key was changed to not require any pixels. Last but not least, you can swim in the Olympic-sized swimming pool on the 2nd floor. Cannonball into the pool, do a handstand, then dive for treasure to receive an item once per day. Possible items are Zagaggles, Pool Torpedo, Lost Key, Watered Down Red Minotaur, Stylish Swimsuit, and the Soggy Used Band-Aid. Zagaggles are a Power 30 hat that adds 25% to item drops underwater. The Pool Torpedo is a combat item that causes 250 physical damage underwater only. The Lost Key can be used to receive one of 3 items. The accessory The Lost Glasses, which reduce enemy defense by 15% and give So Hot resistance, +2, the combat item The Lost Comb to stun your opponent for 3 rounds, and the Lost Pill Bottle, which gives 2 or 3 pills, which rarely may include the distension pill for 1 extra stomach space, or the synthetic dog hair pill for 1 extra liver space. Lost Glasses are notable for lowering enemy defense instead of de-leveling the enemy, and can stack with the accessory Chester's Sunglasses for a reduction of enemy defense by 30%. Watered Down Red Minotaur is a size 2 crappy quality spleen item that gives 1 PvP fight. The Stylish Swimsuit is Power 40 pants that give an additional 5 Moxie and, for male characters only, 10 sleaze damage. The Soggy Used Band-Aid is a combat item that heals all hit points and stuns enemies for 3 rounds. The Soggy Used Band-Aid can be a big help if you're short on healing items when you come up against your shadow in the Naughty Sorceress's tower, and healing all hit points can be useful for any difficult fight. If any clanmates happen to be in the pool with you, you can experiment with swimming around and using the text bubble messages. Once per day, you can choose between 2 50 adventure duration buffs: Lapdog for an additional 30% combat initiative, 25 stench damage, and 20 monster level, or Silent Running for a decreased chance of being randomly attacked in PvP and a reduction in monster encounters by 5%. You can also use a Pocket Wish to receive either buff. So how does the Clan VIP Lounge invitation measure up? Lots of small benefits mean that no matter your situation, the VIP Lounge likely has something to help you out. Random variability, item or meat costs, and daily limits can be a lot to manage, however. I rate the Clan VIP Lounge invitation 4 out of 5 stars for quality of life. The VIP Lounge has several meat and item drop buffs that you can get directly and through lounge exclusive equipment, a few of which are best in slot. Mana Point Restoration from the Blue Rocket helps you maintain expensive buffs, while the Fax Machine lets you fight and potentially copy a monster each day. Taken all together, I rate the Lounge 4 out of 5 stars for farming. The Devil Dog, Fonus Balloonus, and Psychic equipment can all help you get more PvP fights each day, while the variety of buffs and equipment can provide boosts to your minigame scores. I rate the Clan VIP Lounge invitation 4 out of 5 stars for PvP. Choosing one Floundry equipment item per day directly saves adventures in an Ascension, while many other Clan VIP Lounge benefits can save a few adventures here and there. I rate the Clan VIP Lounge invitation 3 out of 5 stars for speedruns. I hope this helps you decide if you should pick one up.